debating, going toe to toe. No holding back, I'm speaking the facts. Let me introduce you to the dopest show. NerdyD and Milwaukee Mike, bringing the energy. If you a fan of wrestling, and especially WWE, this is the Casual Wrestling Show. Casual Wrestling Show. We got opinions, we letting them know. Casual Wrestling Show. Hey, ain't no holding back.
What is up, guys? This is the Casual Wrestling Community Show. I am one of your hosts, the Notorious NerdyD, alongside my co-host of the show, Milwaukee Mike. Tonight, we are breaking down the Judgment Day. We'll update you on our WrestleMania picks. But first, Mike, it is your week to start. What do you have for me?
Yeah, so I've noticed a lot of stuff online and from the IWC in regards to Roman Reigns. So my first question is about Roman Reigns. Why do you believe Roman Reigns has become so hated in some people's eyes over the last 3 years? And do you find yourself in that same camp?
So, Mike, people don't appreciate greatness. They especially in the moment. I think that every athlete who's ever excelled at his sport ends up being hated by 50% of the world. It's just inevitable. No matter what sport it is. It could be Tom Brady, there's 50% of the world that hates him. It could be Michael Jordan, 50% of the world hates him. We can go to wrestling. John Cena, 50% of the audience hated him. And it's not until something is gone that we realize that the people who hated were just haters. And they dissipate. And the people who loved it tend to kind of stick around, and that's where the admiration comes. Roman won't be recognized until 10 years from now. Roman's held the title for 1,282 days. That is 1,282 days that fans of any other wrestler have had to sit and watch their favorite guy have no chance at being the top dog. And on the flip side of that, you have to give credit. That's 1,282 days that Roman Reigns has been able to hold the attention of the WWE universe. And the IWC can complain all they want, but this has been maybe the best storytelling we've seen ever in professional wrestling. The issue is the IWC is not going to give credit to Roman, ever. And they're the loudest wrestling fan base there is. They're going to big up Paul Heyman. They're going to tell you how good Paul Heyman is, right? They're going to big up even Vince McMahon and Triple H to an extent for their storytelling and their booking. They'll give Solo Sikoa props. They'll give the Usos props for being one of the best tag teams. But when it comes to Roman Reigns, they're just going to act like he was lucky to fall into that position. And look, yes, he was chosen for that role. That's how wrestling works. But ask Drew McIntyre how being chosen always goes. It's not always just a sure thing. You still have to go out there and produce. I've never been, this whole time, I've kind of found myself slipping into the Cody cult, as I'll call it, right? I begin to shake the pom-poms for Cody Rhodes. But the truth is, if Roman Reigns wants to hold the title for 300 more days, he deserves that. He's earned that. That is his right. He has gotten us through the ups and downs, the highs, the lows. If he wants to break Hulk Hogan's record, hey man, more power to you, Roman. Who am I to say? I felt myself slipping into being a Cody crybaby, but I think that I look at the entirety. Who am I to judge? The reality is, Cody Rhodes got us. He got us. He framed out his story as being a book. And so naturally as humans, we go, oh, we need to see the ending. The problem is for Roman Reigns, he's a saga. He's not a book. He's an encyclopedia. He's going to span beyond just one book. Cody Rhodes is Blade Runner. Roman Reigns is Star Wars. He's 9 movies. And when he wants to end, that's when this thing will end. And that's why people hate him, is because I think he just coming from a sports background and not coming up through the indies. He's just everything the IWC wants to hate. But at the end of the day, Blade Runner made $33 million. Star Wars made $70 billion. Like, Roman Reigns is blockbuster.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's real simple. I mean, we don't get to the point wrestling is right now without the last 3 years of Roman Reigns, period. Whether it's WWE or AEW, the competition, everything kind of circles back to what Roman has done over the last 3 years. This has hands down been the best story that wrestling has ever told, in my opinion, ever. I mean, there's things that come close, I guess, maybe, but overall, between where it began with him coming back at SummerSlam during COVID, let's remember that he got us through that, and then creating the bloodline, how that came about with that storytelling, all the way through now, where he's intertwined with The Rock and Cody. You could have never imagined it would have got to this 3 years ago, and like everybody's saying, this has been pure cinema. And it's hard to hate because every week we could turn in and we know we're going to get some kind of form of entertainment. How can you hate on greatness? I mean, but you see it in sports too with LeBron. Everybody wants to hate greatness. Mm-hmm. They want to find different things to hate because that's just the nature of us being humans. But for me, I've enjoyed this ride, man. And if you haven't been to a live event and seen his entrance live and just feel that aura in person, and see the crowd, how it's kind of split, right? You'll see people with the ones in the air, and then you'll see people kind of not a big fan of him, but they're still standing up. They're still supporting him. So, the hate, people are always going to find something to hate on, but I mean, Roman has definitely cemented himself on the Mount Rushmore, and this story has been absolutely the best, and it's not even done yet.
I agree. I mean, I'm with you. All right, Mike, I got one for you here. This is, last night we saw the Judgment Day in a tag team match against a rival heel faction, Imperium. They were placed on the babyface side of the camera and received even a few babyface chants. Rhea Ripley has seemingly disappeared from all Judgment Day business. And it seems that, to me, the Judgment Day possibly has lost its identity. Is it time to break the group up or refresh the Judgment Day?
Oh, that's a hard one because I do think that Rhea is going to leave the Judgment Day at some point soon. I think they are positioning her to become a mega babyface in the company, and I think the match at WrestleMania between her and Becky is the catalyst for it. I think Becky's going to put her over, and we're going to go on this Rhea run, kind of similar to what Roman's been doing, where she's going to hold the belt, man, and she's not going to lose it for a while. In terms of like the whole group as in general, I mean, I guess you could maybe split them up, but I don't know if it necessarily makes sense quite yet. I mean, I think with, the tag team championships, we'll see what happens with that as we go towards WrestleMania. I think with Dom, I think honestly, his run in the Judgment Day has kind of put him in a position where I think he could go on a singles run and be kind of successful. You've kind of noticed how they've kind of kept her, Rhea, and Dom kind of separate over the last couple weeks here. And JD, I've never understood what he's doing in the Judgment Day. I'm clueless on that. But yeah, I guess it's kind of, we'll have to see what comes from WrestleMania and then kind of make our decision from there. I think at this point you keep them together, but if things start to go sideways and they're losing titles and whatnot, I think you'd consider maybe having to split them up and kind of building stories on them splitting.
So here's my thing. Since the inception of the Judgment Day, I feel like the creative plan has always been close your eyes and throw a Hail Mary. I don't think they've ever really known what they were meant to be or what they were meant to do. And I think that's actually a compliment for the members that are in the Judgment Day, because every time they've been given some kind of bullshit story arc, they figured out how to make it work and made it work in an extremely positive way. Start off with just the whole situation with Edge. Edge is in the group. Now Edge is out of the group. We have a group of kind of ragtag, misfit, underutilized people who are looking for a leader. But oh shit, some things happen. Now we've got to pull Edge out of this group. And here we are. We're doomed to fail. And slowly but surely, they figured out a way to pull themselves out of that hole and start to get over. I was one of the biggest downers on the Judgment Day early on, saying, without Edge, I don't know what this is. You don't have a leader. You know, the whole thing was built around Edge kind of giving them guidance. I never understood that. And then so you go to even adding Dominic Mysterio, who I feel like Dom was in a position where they just didn't really know what to do with him. And so they were like, cool, we'll add him to the group. And they hesitated and they hesitated and they hesitated. And they finally got him in there and they made it work. They made that work as well. And Rhea Ripley was a big part of making that work. But WWE hasn't had a clear direction for them. And now you're starting to see them distance Rhea Ripley for whatever reason that is. Like you said, if it is for a babyface turn, I don't know that the rest of Judgment Day can't follow along in a babyface turn. I at this point in time, I think more people like Judgment Day than dislike them because there's not a clear-cut reason of why you should dislike Judgment Day. They're not just notoriously heel. They don't do a lot wrong except talk maybe some shit. Outside of Damian Priest having the worst Money in the Bank run that I can remember, the Judgment Day have found ways to stay relevant. And they're still in like WrestleMania conversations as far as like we're still talking about how they're going to be involved with Seth and Drew. And when up until a couple weeks ago, it was R-Truth being the biggest thing on television. So when I look at the Judgment Day, I don't, if I individually look, I don't know how much left there is for Finn Balor in the Judgment Day, right? Like, he seems like a guy who was probably bigger outside of the group. He is sacrificed to be a part of the Judgment Day. I think Rhea Ripley's had one foot out the door, like you said. She's going to become the biggest babyface in probably the entire company. So why not move on to bigger things? I mean, it looks like Dominic Mysterio, like you said, it looks like he may be ready. He may even be ready to do something with Andrade, something that has a more focus. I could see Andrade taking Dom under his wing and doing something where Dom is more of the focus. I know we always want to pit people against each other, but I like the pairing of Andrade and Dom together, building something, on their own, because there's always the opening to have them slide over to SmackDown and feud with Ray again or Legado de Fantasma or whatever you say. I do think in an alternate universe, they should have kept R-Truth. They should have kept that thing going. I know that ultimately it gets you to WrestleMania and you're going to get this cheap pop when Awesome Truth win the tag team title, but then they're going to do what they always do with R-Truth. They're going to panic and they'll punt and they'll move the tag team titles on, and that'll kind of be over with. In an alternate universe, I would have liked to see R-Truth take over the Judgment Day. Kind of see it disband and all the real members leave, and he just continues going to the clubhouse, continues bringing in new people, and it becomes R-Truth's version of the Judgment Day, which is like this happy-go-lucky, live, laugh, love group. But I think they've run their course. To me, to be honest, I think they've run their course.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, what you got for me?
All right, so let's switch over to AEW now. So Sasha Banks, or as she's known now as Mercedes Moné, is rumored to be signed and debuting with AEW in the coming weeks. Do you think you can break down the reasons as to why she's joining AEW over WWE?
I think it's simple. When you sent me this question, I think it's extremely simple. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, whatever we want to call her, she's not in the WWE because she's not good enough. That point blank, she's not good enough. And I can rephrase that and make it softer for the IWC so they feel better. She's not as good as she thinks she is. And that's the problem, right? The IWC has this superpower of taking old wrestlers and overhyping these mediocre, past their prime, kind of, they got more name than they have talent. They take these wrestlers and they elevate them to this level and they hype themselves up and they tell themselves when they come to AEW, they're going to do these magical things. But the truth is, if Mercedes was good enough, she'd be in WWE. If she was as good as the money that she's asking for, she'd be in WWE. Anything she does outside of that is sacrifice. She's sacrificing herself. Mercedes views herself as a main event talent. So when she left in 2022, she wasn't getting booked the way she felt she deserved. So she left. She went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, had a main event with who? Kairi Sane, who is now a mid-carder on the WWE roster. Let's not sugarcoat that, right? Someone who was main eventing New Japan Pro, now mid-carder in WWE. So she leaves in 2022. And you think you're going to come back in a better position? Like, she's no more better off now than she was when she left. And the problem is when you come back, ask Naomi. There's new people. There's new faces. Ask Naomi if she thought she was going to leave WWE, go main event in TNA, and come back and then work a job for Tiffany Stratton. That's just the reality of the business. And Mercedes, it's the same thing for her. She didn't go. I think she thought, Mike, that she was going to leave and go make this big name for herself, that the WWE universe was going to follow her wherever she went. And I think she learned the harsh reality is that the IWC will follow you, but they're a very small, loud group of people. The casual fans that make up the majority of the fan base of professional wrestling, they're not following for you. They're just waiting for the WWE machine to make another version of you. And so that's why I think she's ending up in AEW, is simply because in her mind, she should main event WrestleMania, and WWE looks at the roster and goes, we've got 20 of you, and they are all asking for a lot less money. You're not Charlotte Flair. You're not Becky Lynch. You're not going, we can't put your face on the card and sell the event. People like you and they know who you are, but you fit 5 or 6 on that roster, not 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think for me, I think she's talented. Right? Is she a top 5 in WWE? Probably not, right? I think the biggest thing here between her deciding between WWE and AEW, I think, is ego. Mm-hmm. I think the money was there from WWE. I mean, they just signed a $5 billion deal with Netflix. So the money's there. I mean, I'm sure they offered her a nice contract, and I think ego turned it down. Mm-hmm. I think for me, in my personal opinion, everything that she could possibly want is in WWE. The movies, the exposure, the talent that you can compete against. Everything's in WWE. Now, going to AEW, obviously, ego tells you, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be the top star there. I'm going to be able to kind of create this women's division and kind of make it my own. And, for me, if I'm somebody that's debating between WWE and AEW, I'm looking at people that have jumped ship already. What's going on with Edge? Where's he at lately? Right? I mean, the guy lives in North Carolina, just had a pay-per-view in North Carolina. He wasn't even on the show, and sure, there's other guys from WWE that are kind of doing their thing in AEW right now. Cool. But in terms of the women's division there, I don't have a clue outside of Britt Baker who the hell those women are. I have no idea. So how are you going to elevate a women's division where a casual fan like myself has no idea who these people are? So you're going to sell me pay-per-views with Mercedes Moné, which I guess could be a draw on its own, but you're going against somebody that I have zero knowledge of. When you could be at WWE, Sasha Banks versus Tiffany Stratton, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Naomi. So, for me, at the end of the day, I think it was her ego more than anything. The rumors that, WWE didn't offer enough money, I think that's BS. I think it's more of she wants to kind of be the focal point of everything, and, to each its own.
So I think what you said, the ego thing is the most important thing there, because I think you're right. Anybody level-headed would look at the WWE landscape and go, there's so much there. I think she literally just, ultimately, if I'm not number 1, I don't want to be there. If you're not going to pay me more, I don't think she needs the money. I think she just wants to be able to say, I'm the top paid. I'm that big top dog. And here's the other thing, Mike, like, what is the shelf life for women in wrestling? When do they age out?
Mid-30s, maybe.
So she's 32. I mean, she's 32. So if you're not already at the level where WWE thinks they can just milk you for every dollar, they're not going to invest that in you. They already, like, when I think WWE has to, and TKO has to look at their roster in segments, right? Everybody can't be the top. When you've got Bianca, you've got Becky, you've got Charlotte, you've got Rhea, that's your top 4 spots. There's not enough room to just, and this is AEW's problem, you just can't keep signing big names. You've got to layer it. So as certain people phase out, there's certain people coming in, and I don't think Sasha Banks fits into that lineup. But like you said, you can only wrestle Toni Storm so many times before that first event will be big. No doubt. Like we know the first one that's featured with her is going to be a big event. People will tune in. But with Tony Khan, he milks these wrestlers. He'll use her for the surprise and then check back with us in 3 months and let us know how that's going. That's what I want to know. Is 3 months from now, how is that working out?
I agree.
All right, Mike.
Okay,
let's stick with AEW. So at AEW Revolution, we saw Darby Allin do one of what I'll call the dumbest spots I've ever seen. I don't know that I've ever seen anything stupider. Mike, part one, who in AEW should be held responsible for that spot that we saw at Revolution? And part two, is this now the only avenue that AEW has to get people like me and you, casual fans, to pay attention to what's going on in AEW?
All this has to boil down to what the hell Tony Khan is doing. I mean, when I get there's producers of matches and there's the talents that are kind of scripting their matches and whatnot, but there's no way that a flip off a ladder onto a sheet of glass just goes right past Tony Khan.
How high is that? I'm bad with heights. How high do you think he jumped?
That has to be at least close to 30 feet.
Right?
At least. And to me, I didn't watch it live, but obviously everything goes to Twitter right away.
Yeah.
I'm watching this. I'm thinking, what the hell are they doing, man? That glass breaks the wrong way and gets an artery, or he falls on a chair the wrong way. He's paralyzed. He's dead on TV. Like, why are we doing this? Why? Like, I paid $50 to watch somebody die on TV.
Yeah, man.
Like, I just so to me, for one, I seen a tweet from Jonathan Coachman. He used to be in the WWE.
Yep.
I'm sure you're familiar.
Yep.
He tweeted, and it was a good point. The difference between AEW and WWE is the storytelling. And you can tell a story without having to jump through a sheet of glass that can potentially kill yourself to get fans' attention. I mean, look at WrestleMania 40 right now. We're going into that. We don't need jumping through glass and falling on chairs and turnbuckle flips and all, like, storytelling. So, and I get they wanted to go all out for Sting's last match. Cool. But at the same time, it's like, why the hell are we doing that on TV? I guess it gets us talking, I guess. But good luck paying for funerals in the near future.
So my point is exactly what you said. It gets us talking, but I'm starting to feel immune to it. Yeah. Like, I see it and I kind of roll my eyes at this point. I like you, I don't watch AEW and I'm not watching it live, but we all get the clips. We all get the clips on X. Yeah. And if you'd have told me any other person have done this, we'd all been like, oh shit, what? That's insane. With Darby Allin, we're like, oh no, he's trying to kill himself. Like, he's just, I've seen articles now at this point on reputable websites that I look for wrestling news that are praising this spot. That are saying that this is like Darby Allin's breakout moment. I don't know what they're referencing or who they're referencing. That spot only appeals to the one fan base that Darby Allin already has. He didn't make any new fans on that. In fact, I saw people that I know who don't watch wrestling send me the clip and be like, what the fuck is this? Like, who is this guy? And why is he so stupid? Like, at this point, AEW, it's all erratic wrestling. Because it's just all over the place. It doesn't make sense to me. So at this point, I just get a good chuckle every time I see this stuff on X. Sammy Guevara was suspended. Okay, right? Sammy Guevara suspended because he does a move on Jeff Hardy when Jeff Hardy is already concussed. That's fine. I got no problem with any of that. But if you jump off a 16-foot ladder into a pane of glass that not only puts yourself in danger, but Mike, did you see the glass hit the front row?
Yeah, people were getting hit with glass.
Imagine if that hit someone in the eye. That's the end of AEW. You're done.
Yep.
I can't imagine. I know we talk about producers, but I have to imagine that a producer in AEW, the conversation goes, what are you going to do tonight? This, and this. And that's the extent of that conversation. Nobody's telling them, like, oh, by the way, that pane of glass, I'm going to jump 30 feet off of this ladder and dive through it. I'm so past Darby Allin. It doesn't even bother me anymore. But what makes me laugh is I read an article that Tony Khan went to Owen Hart's wife and asked for permission to lower Sting down from the rafters if that was okay, right? And okay, cool. That's respectful, right? But then 10 minutes later, Darby Allin jumps off literally the same position off the top of the ring through a pane of glass, and that's respectful to the moment. He could have died. That's the one time. That's not like being overreactive. There's a probability, like I always say, there's probably a number over the top of people's head. He's in the 70s to 80s on that one. Like that, and there's no telling even today what internal damage there is, what kind of bleeding, what just gross bacteria and shit from the glass. I don't know, man. I saw clips of Revolution and not just Darby Allin, but I saw Will Ospreay doing his patented "I'm gonna kill somebody" spot. I saw Orange Cassidy almost die. Darby Allin still could possibly be dead. I don't know. I haven't heard or seen from him since the event, so I don't know. Like, someone might want to check on him. It's comical at this point that Tony Khan's suspending guys for making mistakes and then allowing these other things to happen. It's so hypocritical. And just one last, like, kind of side thing from this is, if I'm Sammy Guevara, right, and I've seen Jeff Hardy wrestle, how do you know when Jeff Hardy's concussed? Because half the time he's drunk or on drugs anyway. So he's kind of always out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't get, like, if I was Sammy Guevara, I'd just be like, fuck this shit, man. This is stupid. I don't get it. But I don't blame Tony Khan. I don't blame Darby Allin at this point. I blame the IWC. As long as you guys keep watching this shit, these guys are going to keep doing it. They're going to keep jumping off and doing stupid shit.
Yep.
All right, what you got?
Yeah, so my last question here. Do you believe social media promos cut by talents are good or bad for wrestling, with the latest example being The Rock dropping his promo on Friday afternoon?
So I think my answer might surprise people a little bit, but I don't love promos outside of the 5 hours of weekly programming. To me, if you can't fit it in to the television schedule, then it probably doesn't need to be said. The Rock cut, a 21-minute promo on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's essentially to clear up all of the bullshit that he has caused in the last couple of months. But on top of that, it felt like he rewrote the narrative a little bit. Like he softened the blow towards himself a little bit by kind of insinuating what happened between him and Cody. And I don't think Cody Rhodes gets the same opportunity to tell his side of the story. Look, we got 3 hours every Monday, Rock. If you want to show up and have some extra time to cut promos, there's Monday Night Raw crowds that would love to see you. But when you do this from home, it just lets me know I don't know that you really want to be here. I don't know that you're willing to show up twice a week like everybody else is, like Cody and Seth are when they're going to go from Raw to SmackDown this week. Once I turn off wrestling as a casual fan, I'm done with it. I don't want to be on call for Dwayne Johnson promos. I don't want to feel like that when I get an Instagram update, I got to take 21 minutes to study this, and really he's the only guy that's afforded that luxury of cutting 21-minute promos on Instagram, because you don't see anybody else ever cut a promo that has context. This is literally what they kind of fired Zack Ryder for. Was going outside the confines of the television schedule and getting over with fans. And the biggest argument is that your TV partners don't benefit from it. The Rock cuts a 21-minute promo. Who does it benefit? Instagram? WWE social media? It just feels like wrestling homework to me. I would rather this stuff. Look, I don't give a shit. You want to take the first hour and a half to do Bloodline stuff? Let's do it. I thought that was great. 40 minutes? I'm fine. There's not that much else I want to watch on wrestling. That's the big story. Or go to Monday Night Raw and cut your promo. But here and there, 2 or 3 minute videos, that's fine. 21-minute monologues, I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, for me, I think the information within the promo was what we needed for the story. Obviously, I think it definitely tied up some loose ends. I wasn't a fan of the length of it, and I wasn't a fan that we had to go to social media for it. I think, like you said, there's enough TV time for you to kind of make it happen on television and get these points across. For me, thinking about the whole spectrum of things, it just kind of makes you think that, okay, they're still kind of throwing things against the wall, right? Because I feel like if you knew you're going this direction, you could have had this all planned out, hashed out, where this is going to be on television, right? Even if he wasn't in person, you could have recorded it and played a segment, on Monday Night Raw in hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, and they've done that before with different stories and situations. So, for me, again, like yourself, I don't want to have to do extra homework for a story. Now, I'll let it slide because the story is so captivating.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But, like you said, I think The Rock is the only one that's really afforded this opportunity because it spotlights him, it gets eyes to him, and it's, he's kind of a self-centered guy, so it makes sense, right? But I think it could have, you definitely could have found a different way to go about it. But again, like I said, I'm not mad at it this time because of the magnitude of the story. I think we all needed some answers, and with the limited time before WrestleMania, maybe the lengthy promo was actually kind of needed, but it's not a trend that I want to see consistently moving forward.
So that's what I was going to ask you. That's what I kind of picked out in my head was, I'm with you. The Rock is capable of this, and he's captivating enough to make me pay attention for 21 minutes and give me context. My issue is not with The Rock. It is with, if this became normal, do we really want, I don't know, Tozawa cutting a 10-minute promo on Instagram? And nothing against him, but most of these people aren't captivating enough. And then imagine a world where everybody's going to watch The Rock. But let's say this is a mid-card thing with Gable, right? You turn on Monday Night Raw and you're so fucking lost because 20 minutes of context is stuck on Instagram that you didn't know happened if you're not following WWE on social media. Imagine going to a movie or something and Batman is wearing a red suit, right? You show up to a movie, Batman's got a red suit, you're like, what fuck? And the guy next to you is like, oh no, you didn't see, that was on TikTok. What? I had to watch that to have context. To me, in this story, you're right. If we're containing this to, this is weird rules that The Rock gets, I'm fine. Because he's captivating enough. We do need the context. This is the best story ever. I just don't want to see this become normal.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, last thing I have here, Mike, with Adam Pearce announcing the 6-man ladder match for the IC title at WrestleMania. I kind of a 3 quick part question here. We don't have to do long answers. Who's your odds-on favorite to win the 6-man match? Why is Dominic Mysterio not in this match? Is a little confusing to me. And who has the most potential to carry the IC title after Gunther and keep the prestige of the title?
So I think you said I think it's a gauntlet match, right?
I said ladder. I said ladder because you were predicting ladder, and I like that idea.
I got you.
And it's stuck in my head. Gauntlet match.
Yeah. So you look at the field. I think you can eliminate JD, right? He's not going to WrestleMania, right? I think it really boils down to 2 people. I think it's Sami Zayn and Chad Gable, right?
Yeah.
And they're both telling compelling stories right now, which is kind of making it hard to pick one. I think with Gable, we've seen him in the ring with Gunther already, and we liked it, and we kind of want to see him get a title because he's that guy you could really get behind. But Sammy's telling a damn good of a story lately as well, and he had that run with the bloodline, and it's hard to pick. So I think for right now, in this moment, I'd rather see Gunther versus Sami Zayn at WrestleMania.
Interesting.
I think that's where I would go right now. I wouldn't be mad if it turns into a triple threat, but having a gauntlet match, I think you're kind of looking for one person. And I'm kind of disappointed in that, to be honest with you, because that kind of makes me feel like Gunther might not lose.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Is he going to take a pin at WrestleMania to lose the IC title? I'm not sure, but I think right now I'd roll with Sami Zayn. I think I would go there.
Okay, so here's why. Here's why I'm gonna go against you on Sami Zayn. I agree. He's told an amazing story, but his whole story has been based around I'm a main event guy, and they can do whatever they want. They can tell us about Gunther all they want, but like Gunther's not a main event guy until he wins a big title. Like he is the highest of the high mid card to me. That and people will be pissed off to hear that. I think Gable is more in line for an IC title run. Sammy's had the IC title. We've done that before. Like I don't know that really does anything for the title after WrestleMania. I'm gonna play off a little bit what you said, the disappointment. I don't think this match has a clear winner. I think this is going to turn into an absolute clusterfuck. I think Gunther, Imperium are going to get involved. Adam Pearce is going to get pissed off, and he's going to come out and say, if you don't want to do it here, Gunther, we can have all of these guys in the ring with you at once at WrestleMania. I don't understand. Like, once again, we go into this, we're 2 or 3 weeks away from WrestleMania, and you're going to let down a fan base with this match. Like, it's weird. Are you really, Bronson Reed's going to lose this match? That doesn't feel, to me, it feels better to have a gauntlet match. As guys get eliminated, at some point, everybody comes rushing back out to the ring, and it just turns into a nightmare where there is no clear winner. And Gunther, either Adam Pearce does it or Gunther goes, let them all fight me. I don't care.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm too sold on your idea of a ladder match at WrestleMania. I think it's fits beautifully into that card. And where are you going to feature all these guys if it's not here?
Yeah.
You're leaving Bronson off. You're leaving either Sammy or Gable off, and you're selling Gable with like this story about his daughter, and then what? He's just doesn't get to go find retribution.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was leaning, because do you really have him bring up his daughter in this whole story
and then just
and then he just loses at WrestleMania? Like, so that's why I also kind of lean Sammy, because if it's going to be one-on-one, I think Sammy could lose. If you want Gable to really be the IC champion, you can't have him lose at main. Like maybe there's something down. I don't know. I'm with you. I'd rather see a ladder match just for entertainment value. I
just am not of the belief. Like if it's Gunther one-on-one, he's not losing. And maybe Gable, maybe he loses to Gable but I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid when you have the perfect setup to protect him. He can lose the title at WrestleMania and not have to take any of his momentum away.
Yeah.
He just gets to come out and say, I'm so good that it took 6 people to stop me.
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
All right, before we go, any changes to our WrestleMania cards here? We know now, you nailed it 100%. Cody, Seth, Rock, Roman, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So we can pencil that in. Have you seen anything else that leads you down any other paths?
Yes. I do think we're going to get a tag pairing with Bianca and Jade Cargill. I think that's going to happen.
Okay, so feed me your thinking here, because I don't.
The interaction that Jade had with Damage Control, I think it was on Friday.
Yeah,
where she was just kind of standing there and she pointed at the Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah,
I don't think you do that for no reason. And there hasn't been. I know they're kind of selling a couple tag matches with the Kabuki Warriors, I think tonight, and then there's one either Friday or Monday. I can't remember the day. They're not dropping the titles before WrestleMania. And something just tells me that, listen, man, we're going to get Jade on this card. We're trying to find a way to do it. I think it's going to be with Bianca. I think they're going to have a tag match. All
right. So the way I read that, and it's interesting to see how you read it. I read it as that is going to be Bayley's safety net in that match, is when they all do turn on her, Jade Cargill is going to be featured. And I immediately thought, oh, what a better way to start Jade off than to have her help Bayley win and then beat her the next night on Monday Night Raw for the title. I didn't see tag team. I still think they're doing Tiffany Stratton, and
I'm thinking night one we get Bianca and Jade versus.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking it. I think Jade Bianca versus the Kabuki Warriors night one. I think they win the titles, and I think Damage Control gets involved in the match night two with Bayley and Io. And Bianca and Jade come for the save, and I think we get 3 new champions.
I just don't have that much faith in the women's tag team titles. When they're teasing Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae and Natalya and Tegan Nox, I feel like that's going to be an afterthought to a bigger story. The only other thing I had a question for you was, are we for sure that the United States title is going to be defended?
It's got to at WrestleMania.
You think so? I could see in line of Logan tag teaming with somebody against Randy Orton and LA Knight.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna be.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
showing up on.
When I try to do psychology, so then is Randy going to beat Logan?
I think it's gonna be I think it might be a triple threat.
Oh, so you KO came out, and you think Kevin Owens? You think he's in line for United States Championship, Brian? I guess you could do what you did like Gunther with the United States title and Kevin Owens. I don't, man. My brain just fucks with me.
That's a tough one to predict right now. Yeah,
I just have this weird feeling that they pull some bullshit and the United States title is not on the line, and it becomes like Randy, LA Knight, and KO versus Logan, Grayson, and Theory.
That's a hard sell, man.
I know it is, but so we're sometimes we think with like best case scenario. WWE's done a lot of dumb shit before.
That's true. That is true.
And and maybe they just go, let's just get as many guys in the ring here as we can because we don't know what to do with Logan. I mean, I hope it's Randy and Logan and KO. Yeah. I'm still on that, but I got to throw some swerves at you.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
All right, that's all the time we have this week for the Casual Wrestling Show. Make sure to like and share this episode as much as you can. As a member of the Casual Wrestling community, feel free to screen record and clip your favorite part of the show on any social media platform. As always, I am the Nerdy D. That is Milwaukee Mike, and we will see you guys next week.
Better bring it if we debating going toe to toe. No holding back, I'm speaking the facts. Let me introduce you to the dopest show. Nerdy D and Milwaukee Mike, bringing the energy. If you a fan of wrestling and especially WWE, this is the Casual Wrestling Show.